herself pulled to this man's quiet strength. That, my fellow Sigmas, is no accident. It's a psychological, emotional, and primal magnetism. And here's the kicker. There are certain things these younger women love hearing from Sigma men, but they'd never dare admit it. In today's video, we're diving deep into the secret language between older Sigma males and younger women. You'll discover the words that make their hearts flutter, their walls fall, and their minds race. Words they crave but won't admit. This isn't your average dating advice. This is Sigma wisdom, refined, rare, and ridiculously effective. Let's get into it. Number 1, I enjoy my own company. The power of solitude. Younger women are often used to guys who constantly seek validation, likes on social media, excessive compliments, or constant reassurance. So when a man says, I enjoy my own company, it hits different. It signals confidence, independence, and emotional strength. You're not avoiding people. You're just selective about who gets access to your world. This statement quietly screams self-worth. You're not desperate for attention or affection. Instead, you value solitude because it recharges you. Psychologists have found that people who enjoy solitude tend to have better emotional regulation, higher creativity, and a stronger sense of identity. For younger women, this is rare and incredibly intriguing. Why? Because it suggests you have depth. It tells her you're not out here trying to fill a void. You're already whole. That drives her curiosity through the roof. She starts wondering, what makes this man so content on his own? This is classic Sigma male energy. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about mastering your inner world. The mystery, the maturity, the self-control, it all becomes magnetic. And unlike the average guy who tries too hard to impress, your quiet confidence speaks volumes. That's what makes you unforgettable. Number 2, you don't have to prove anything to me. Non-judgmental confidence. When a Sigma male says, you don't have to prove anything to me, it's not just a line, it's a revelation. It cuts through the noise of societal expectations like a sword of peace. In a world where women are often judged by appearance, accomplishments, or how well they fit into someone else's mold, this statement offers a rare breath of freedom. Sigma males don't seek to control, impress, or play games. Their independence and self-assurance mean they're not looking to validate their worth through someone else's actions. That's powerful. This kind of man isn't there to test her or keep score. He simply values authenticity. He creates an environment where she feels safe to drop the mask, exhale, and be herself. Psychologists have noted that emotional safety is one of the strongest foundations for genuine attraction. When a woman feels seen and accepted without judgment, it triggers deep emotional bonding. It's not about manipulation, it's about presence. And while she may never say it aloud, those few words, spoken with calm certainty, break down her defenses in the best way. For the first time in a long time, she's not performing. She's just existing. And that, to her, feels like peace. Number 3, I'm not like most men. And you don't need to explain why. It's not bragging when it's true. And when it comes from you, it carries a different weight. You're not speaking from ego, you're speaking from experience, from consistency, from truth. You don't say it to impress, you say it because you it. Your lifestyle is built on intention. Your discipline is visible in your routine. You're not out here chasing attention. You're too busy building. You don't speak just to be heard. When you do speak, people listen. That's power, real power. The kind that doesn't need validation. And yes, younger women notice this. In a world full of noise and oversharing, your silence is mysterious. It sparks curiosity. You become a puzzle, one they to solve. They feel the strength in your energy, the clarity in your direction. It's rare, and rare things attract. You're not out here trying to prove anything to anyone. That's what makes it even more attractive. You've become the exception to the rule, grounded, self-contained, and unapologetically focused. Number 4, take your time. The Sigma's patience is seductive. Most guys rush, they push, they pressure, but not you. When you say, take your time, it's like handing her a key to her own peace. Sigma males know something that many overlook. Patience isn't weakness, it's power. Psychologists have found that emotional safety is one of the top factors in long-term relationship satisfaction. And guess what? Patience creates that safety. When a man doesn't rush or push, it signals emotional maturity and self-control, traits deeply attractive to women on a subconscious level. Sigma men aren't in a hurry because they're not chasing validation. They value time, space, and emotional authenticity. By saying, "Take your time," you're not just being polite, you're communicating that her comfort matters. You're not desperate for attention or trying to manipulate the moment. You're grounded, present, and intentional. For younger women especially, who are often used to being rushed or objectified, this calm energy is disarming. They may not admit it, but it makes them feel respected, seen, and safe. You're giving her permission to move at her own pace, something most never experience. In a world full of noise and pressure, your patience becomes your silent power. And that, my friend, is unforgettable. Number 5. I respect your boundaries. The ultimate turn-on. When you say, "I respect your boundaries," you're not just being polite, you're showing emotional intelligence and inner strength. Most women are used to men who get defensive, manipulative, or try to negotiate their way around a no. So when you respond with calm acceptance, "Cool, I respect that," you instantly stand out. This kind of response short-circuits the usual cycle. It tells her you're confident in yourself and don't need to control or convince her. That's rare. According to psychological studies, women are more attracted to men who make them feel emotionally safe. Why? Because safety creates space for vulnerability, openness, and genuine connection. It's not about playing games or trying to win her over. It's about being a solid, self-assured man who understands that respect is more attractive than pressure. Women notice this, even if they don't say it out loud. So the next time a woman sets a boundary, lean into it with confidence. Smile. Say, "I respect that. It's not weakness, it's mastery." You're showing her you have nothing to prove and nothing to lose. That's powerful. And ironically, that power is exactly what makes you more attractive. Number 6. Let's keep this low-key. The allure of discretion. There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who values mystery over noise. When you say, "Let's keep this low-key," you're not just making a casual request. You're setting a tone that's both intriguing and powerful. In a world obsessed with likes, followers, and oversharing, choosing discretion sends a message. You don't need validation from the crowd. Psychologists say that mystery activates the brain's reward system. When someone reveals less, others tend to think more about them, creating an allure that's hard to resist. By keeping things private, you create a sense of exclusivity, as if she's been invited into a VIP space that only the worthy can access. It's not about being secretive in a shady way. It's about preserving the magic, protecting the intimacy, and avoiding unnecessary opinions. This kind of subtle confidence sets you apart from the average attention seeker. That secrecy, it adds heat. That discretion, it adds trust. And that quiet power, it's seductive. When you don't need to broadcast every detail, you come across as someone who moves with intention, and in a world full of noise, your calm silence speaks volumes. Number 7, you're free to walk away. Anytime. Reverse psychology? Maybe. Effective? Always. You're free to walk away anytime, and suddenly, you're the one she doesn't want to lose. Why? Because true confidence isn't about controlling someone, it's about knowing your worth. When a man isn't needy, when he's emotionally whole and grounded, it sends a powerful signal. Psychologically, this taps into something called the scarcity principle. People tend to value what isn't easily available. When you don't chase, when you're okay being alone, you become a rare breed, and rarity is attractive. You're not there to trap anyone. You're not begging for attention. You're offering value, but only if it's mutual. That's high-status behavior. Ironically, the more freedom you give someone, the more they want to stay. Why? Because freedom feels like trust, and trust builds deep connection. Women don't want to feel caged, they want to feel chosen. So when you confidently say, "You're free to go," you're not pushing her away. You're pulling her closer without even trying. So Sigmas, let's wrap this up. These phrases aren't pickup lines. They're principles. They're the reflection of a lifestyle that prioritizes purpose over popularity, freedom over validation, and presence over pressure. Younger women are drawn to Sigma men because we offer what the world no longer teaches: depth, direction, and discipline. They love hearing these things, not because we're trying to impress, but because we love them. So stay grounded, stay purposeful, keep walking your quiet path. And remember, being a Sigma isn't about being alone, it's about being enough. Having said this, Sigmas, if this resonated with you, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and join this ever-growing community of self-aware, purpose-driven men. Let's keep building a tribe that inspires strength, wisdom, and impact. I'll see you in the next one. Why do certain men walk a path so uncomfortable most wouldn't dare to follow? The answer lies in the rare mindset of the Sigma male. Imagine a man who doesn't follow trends or seek attention. He doesn't crave likes, approval, or praise. Instead, he values peace over popularity and solitude over the spotlight. He's not broken or bitter. He's focused. This is the Sigma male. Often misunderstood, he operates outside the traditional social hierarchy. He's not alpha, not beta. He's something entirely different. While society rushes to fit in, the Sigma male dares to stand alone. His path is filled with solitude, self-reflection, and sometimes rejection. Why? Because his values are non-negotiable. He won't fake friendships or compromise integrity for comfort. Studies in psychology even show that individuals with Sigma-like traits, high introspection, autonomy, and resilience, are often seen as unconventional, yet highly adaptive. The Sigma lifestyle is quiet, disciplined, and deeply intentional. It's not for the faint of heart. But for the Sigma, it's not just a path, it's a purpose. And that purpose fuels everything he does, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. Point 1. Choosing solitude over social comfort. Sigmas, let's start with the elephant in the room, solitude. While others scramble to be seen and heard, you disappear. But not because you're shy, because your soul demands silence to grow. Solitude isn't some Instagrammable aesthetic. It's the battleground of self-mastery. Research from the University of Virginia shows that most people would rather give themselves an electric shock than be alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. That's how deeply solitude is feared, but not by you. Choosing solitude means declining the party, skipping the small talk, and sitting face to face with your own mind. That's where the magic happens. In that space, you analyze your life, sharpen your vision, and recalibrate your path. While others look for validation in likes and followers, you find clarity in quiet. People might not get it. Why don't you reply? Why so distant? They don't realize that every moment you spend alone is an investment in power, purpose, and peace. Sigma males don't isolate to hide. They isolate to evolve. So next time someone asks why you ghost the group chat, tell them this: you're not avoiding people, you're mastering yourself. And mastery doesn't happen in the noise, it happens in the silence. Point 2, saying no without explanation. One of the most spine-chilling superpowers a Sigma male possesses is the unapologetic ability to say, without over-explaining or softening the blow. In a world obsessed with people-pleasing and social harmony, this is a radical move. But for the Sigma, it's not about rebellion. It's about clarity and control. Saying no is more than just a word, it's a boundary. Studies in psychology show that people who set clear personal boundaries tend to have higher self-esteem, better stress management, and greater life satisfaction. Sigmas understand this deeply. They don't say yes out of guilt, obligation, or fear of missing out. They say no because they understand that time and energy are non-renewable resources. And make no mistake, this doesn't make them rude or unkind. It makes them selective, strategic, purpose-driven. Of course, not everyone gets it. Some people see this behavior and assume arrogance or coldness, but the Sigma male isn't here for applause. He's here for alignment with his goals, values, and personal truth. It's not easy. It can make things awkward, but it's necessary, because every no is a yes to something greater: authenticity, freedom, and self-respect. That's why this power is so misunderstood and so dangerous. Point 3, disappearing without notice to rebuild themselves. Ever feel the need to vanish for a bit? Social media off, phone on, do not disturb. No status updates, no location check-ins. That's Sigma 101. While most people document every meal, mood, and moment, Sigma males choose silence. They disappear, not because they're hiding, but because they are evolving. It's a conscious decision to step away from the noise and focus on self-growth. In a world where constant connection is expected, this choice can make others uncomfortable. But here's the thing. Sigmas understand that true progress happens in solitude. It's not about seeking attention or approval. It's about quietly rebuilding, reflecting, and coming back stronger. When you're under construction, you don't owe anyone an explanation. The journey is personal. This absence is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. It's a time to recharge, gain clarity, and sharpen your focus. Instead of living for others' validation, Sigmas prioritize internal growth. The result? When they return, they do so with more value, insight, and purpose, surprising everyone around them with their transformation. So next time you need a break, embrace it. There's power in that silence. Point 4. Walking away from comfort to chase growth. Comfort zones are often seen as safe havens, places where we feel secure and in control. However, for many, they also become traps. The problem is that comfort zones, while cozy, can limit personal growth. Sigma males understand this better than anyone. They don't stay in one place just because it feels safe. They thrive on pushing past boundaries and embracing the unknown. For a Sigma male, leaving behind a stable job, a familiar environment, or long-time friendships isn't a reckless decision. It's a necessary step for growth. When their soul whispers that there's more out there, they listen, even if it means walking away from everything they know. Growth, while rewarding, often involves discomfort. It requires stepping out of the familiar and taking risks. But unlike most people who resist change, Sigma males embrace it. They're not afraid of uncertainty because they value freedom over security, purpose over popularity. While others may label these decisions as reckless, Sigmas see them as alignment with their true path. They understand that true fulfillment lies in following their principles, even if it means walking alone at times. For them, the unknown is just another opportunity to thrive. Point 5. Not reacting when provoked. One of the most powerful traits of a Sigma male is their ability to in situations where most people would. Whether it's when someone disrespects you, life throws a challenge your way, or your name gets dragged through the mud, everyone expects a response. They expect fireworks, conflict, or an emotional outburst. But Sigmas, they take a different approach: silence. This doesn't mean they're weak or passive. In fact, it's the opposite. The Sigma male understands that true power lies in control, especially over one's emotions. Reacting immediately, in anger or frustration, only fuels the situation. Instead, they let their emotions serve them, not the other way around. When you choose stillness over reaction, you gain clarity. Instead of responding impulsively, you give yourself time to think and strategize. This level of control is often misunderstood, but it's a sign of strength, not weakness. The ability to stay calm under pressure allows the Sigma male to make decisions with a clear mind and act in a way that speaks louder than words. While others may burn out in the heat of the moment, the Sigma male remains steady, emerging victorious once the dust settles. Point 6. Questioning authority even when it's risky. Sigma males don't follow blindly, and in a world that often rewards conformity, this can be a problem. They don't settle for the status quo. Instead, they ask the tough questions. Why is this the rule? Who benefits from this system? What happens if I don't comply? This mindset leads them to challenge norms, confront groupthink, and speak out when silence is expected. While this can be uncomfortable, Sigmas value truth over comfort. They're not afraid to risk being misunderstood or even punished for speaking their mind. This willingness to stand apart from the crowd is not about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. Sigmas don't reject authority for the sake of defiance. They respect authority when it's earned and justified. However, they will never trade their autonomy for social approval. This is the core principle of the Sigma male mindset. Personal freedom and critical thinking come first. Their independence and willingness to question societal norms allow them to see the world from a unique perspective, often leading to unconventional but deeply authentic choices. In a society that often values obedience, sigmas serve as reminders that sometimes the most valuable thing is the courage to think for oneself. Point 7. Living without needing external validation. Finally, the most uncomfortable flex of all, you don't need praise. You don't need likes. You don't need a pat on the back. Your self-worth isn't tied to claps, awards, or recognition. This is where Sigma males stand apart. In a world wired for validation, where dopamine spikes come from notifications and attention, choosing to walk silently in your purpose is radical. Psychologically, intrinsic motivation is more powerful and sustainable than extrinsic rewards. Sigma males are fueled by this internal drive. While others perform for an audience, Sigmas perform for progress. They track growth, not applause. They chase evolution, not admiration. It's uncomfortable because modern society trains us to seek approval. But freedom begins where the need for validation ends. Sigma males don't live to impress. They live to evolve. And that evolution is their reward. No claps necessary, no spotlight required, just quiet confidence and relentless self-mastery. That's the real flex, being so secure in who you are that praise becomes irrelevant. Sigmas, if these 7 uncomfortable truths resonate with you, welcome home. This path isn't for the faint of heart. It's not for those who need constant reassurance, applause, or permission. But if you're someone who chooses growth over comfort, truth over trend, and purpose over popularity, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. Keep walking that uncomfortable path. Keep choosing solitude, silence, and self-mastery, because that's where your power lives. And remember, being a Sigma isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being authentically you. So if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to join this growing community of powerful, purpose-driven Sigma males. Let's evolve together. Having said this,
welcome, Sigmas. The act of a Sigma guy walking away is a deliberate last action, rather than an emotional breakdown or rash choice. Wasted energy has no place in the world of these men who function on a different frequency, and they're precise, tidy, and unapologetic when they cut ties. It could appear icy, even vicious to the outside world. You may find yourself wondering what went wrong or looking for a clue that is concealed from you. The fact is, however, that Sigma guys defy social norms. They owe no one answers, no second chances, and most definitely no lengthy explanations. They break the cord fully and without hesitation when someone no longer shares their values or disturbs their tranquility. This is a harsh reality. A Sigma male will deliberately, directly, and absolutely cut you out of his life. And today, we're exposing 6 brutal facts about the reasons behind it. Facts that most people never anticipate. This is the raw reality of Sigma separation. So get ready. Make sure to watch until the end for a deeper understanding. And if you resonate with this mindset, don't forget to like and join the community of independent thinkers. Now let's dive in. Reason 1. You crossed a line, even if you didn't know it. Sigmas operate on a different wavelength from most men. They don't beg for respect, and they certainly don't tolerate nonsense. Unlike others who vocalize their boundaries or constantly remind people of their standards, a Sigma's limits are invisible but ironclad. There's no need for warnings, no second chances. If you cross the line, you're simply removed from their life. This is rooted in psychological self-respect, the idea that high-value individuals don't waste energy on those who disregard their principles. Many people, especially those who seek external validation, feel the need to justify their boundaries. They explain, they argue, they give multiple warnings. A Sigma does none of this. His actions speak for themselves. This quiet decisiveness is what sets Sigmas apart. Women and people in general often test boundaries, whether consciously or unconsciously. They push to see how much they can get away with. Most men either cave or engage in unnecessary conflict. A Sigma, he simply disengages. There's no need for loud confrontations or emotional outbursts. He doesn't seek revenge, doesn't try to prove a point. He just vanishes. This behavior is deeply tied to the law of least interest, a concept in psychology stating that the person who is less emotionally invested in an interaction holds the most power. A Sigma's ability to walk away at any moment makes him unpredictable, which in turn makes him more intriguing. People crave certainty, and when they sense that a Sigma is entirely self-sufficient and unafraid to cut ties, they respect him even more. Women in particular find this dynamic both frustrating and alluring. They're used to men who will endure disrespect, beg for attention, or try to fix things when boundaries are crossed. A Sigma doesn't engage in that cycle. If you show a lack of respect, he assumes you're not worth his time. This isn't coldness, it's efficiency. A Sigma values his energy and emotional space too much to waste it on people who don't align with his standards. The beauty of this approach is that it naturally filters out those who don't respect him, leaving only those who genuinely appreciate his presence. There are no dramatic exits, no heated arguments, just a quiet, resolute departure. And that silence, it speaks louder than any words ever could. Reason 2. You show disloyalty. Loyalty isn't just a preference for a Sigma male, it's a requirement. In a world filled with deception, half-truths, and hidden agendas, a Sigma values authenticity above all else. He doesn't waste time deciphering mixed signals or tolerating disloyalty. The moment he senses betrayal, whether through gossip, dishonesty, or fake energy, he's gone. No warnings, no debates, no drawn-out explanations. He simply exits. This isn't about being harsh or unforgiving. It's about self-respect. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal that emotionally intelligent individuals recognize toxic patterns early and remove themselves before further damage occurs. Sigmas operate on this principle instinctively, while others may overlook red flags, make excuses, or cling to unhealthy connections. A Sigma understands that loyalty is non-negotiable. The second someone proves they can't be trusted, they're removed from his inner circle permanently. Why? Because Sigmas don't believe in emotional gambling. They don't entertain people who play both sides or betray trust for personal gain. This level of decisiveness can be intimidating, even ruthless to those who expect endless chances. But to a Sigma, it's simple. Trust, once broken, is never the same. His mindset aligns with the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. He invests in the 20% of people who bring genuine value and eliminates the 80% who drain his energy or compromise his principles. Hence, this selective approach ensures that his circle remains strong, reliable, and built on mutual respect. Many mistake his cold detachment for a lack of emotion, but in reality, it's the opposite. Sigmas value relationships deeply, but only when they are built on truth and loyalty. He doesn't do drama, manipulation, or second chances. If you betray a Sigma, you won't get a heated argument or a dramatic confrontation. You'll get silence. And silence, as psychology confirms, is the ultimate form of pain. In the end, a Sigma's loyalty is rare, but once earned, it's unwavering. He will stand by those who prove themselves, defend those he trusts, and remain loyal to those who show the same in return. But the moment deception enters he disappears without hesitation and without looking back. Reason 3. You became an energy vampire. Sigmas guard their energy the way a dragon guards its treasure, with unwavering vigilance. They understand that time, mental clarity, and emotional peace are their most valuable resources. Unlike most people who scatter their energy freely, Sigmas are highly selective about where and with whom they invest it. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. Studies in psychology suggest that constant exposure to negativity, emotional drama, and toxic relationships can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even physical exhaustion. Sigmas instinctively know this, which is why they keep their inner circle tight and their boundaries firm. If someone constantly drains their time, emotions, or mental space with neediness and chaos, a Sigma will cut the cord without hesitation. It's not about being cold or heartless. It's about maintaining balance. Unlike social butterflies who thrive on external validation, Sigmas derive their strength from solitude and introspection. Their alone time is where they recharge, strategize, and refine their vision. They cannot afford to let energy vampires deplete them. This ties into the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. It suggests that 80% of outcomes often come from 20% of efforts. Sigmas apply this principle to their relationships. If someone consistently drains more energy than they contribute, they are removed from the equation. No confrontation, no second chances, just a quiet disappearance. And this is what confuses most people. Society teaches us to tolerate, to compromise, to endure toxic relationships for the sake of appearances or obligation. But Sigmas play by different rules. They understand a simple but powerful truth. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some may see this as ruthless, but in reality, it's an act of wisdom. The ability to walk away from draining relationships isn't a sign of arrogance, it's a sign of emotional intelligence. Studies show that people with high emotional intelligence can recognize negative patterns and remove themselves before damage is done. Sigmas don't wait until they're burned out or emotionally depleted. They cut ties early, preserving their inner world like a fortress. If you bring drama, insecurity, or manipulation into a Sigma's life, they won't argue. They won't try to change you. They won't engage in endless discussions about feelings. They will simply disappear. It's not an act of malice, it's a survival mechanism. A Sigma knows that every wasted minute spent on the wrong people is a minute taken away from their goals, growth, and inner peace. And that's what makes them so different. While others drown in toxic cycles, Sigmas move forward, unburdened, focused, and in complete control of their own destiny. Reason 4. You tried to control them. Telling a Sigma male how to live, what to do, or how to think is like trying to put a wild wolf on a leash. It's simply not going to happen. Unlike most men who seek external validation and follow societal expectations, a Sigma moves on his own terms. His independence isn't just a preference. It's a core part of his identity. This is rooted in psychological reactance, a concept in behavioral science that explains why people resist when they feel their freedom is being threatened. Sigma males, by nature, are highly self-sufficient. The moment they sense control, manipulation, or suffocation, their instincts kick in not out of defiance, but because autonomy is non-negotiable. While some men tolerate being micromanaged in relationships or social settings, a Sigma finds it unbearable. He thrives in environments where he has full control over his choices, time, and direction in life. This is why Sigmas often avoid traditional social hierarchies, corporate structures, and relationships that demand constant compromise of their core values. They're not rebels for the sake of rebellion. They simply refuse to live a life dictated by others. This independence is both frustrating and fascinating to those around them. Women in particular are drawn to this untamed energy. It's rare to meet a man who doesn't seek approval or bend to expectations. The challenge of trying to figure him out becomes irresistible. However, the moment a woman tries to control or mold a Sigma, she quickly learns the hard way he won't stay. Not because he doesn't care, but because his nature demands freedom. This is why Sigmas vanish at the first sign of manipulation. They don't engage in power struggles or prolonged debates over control. They simply disappear, leaving others wondering what happened. It's not about being dramatic. It's about survival. Just as a wolf refuses captivity, a Sigma refuses a life that feels restrictive. In a world where so many people seek to control others through social norms, relationships, or workplace politics, a Sigma remains an anomaly. He doesn't ask for permission to be himself. He doesn't explain his choices. And most importantly, he never sacrifices his freedom for comfort. Because to a Sigma, freedom isn't just a luxury, it's everything. Reason 5. You weren't growing. Sigmas are highly selective when it comes to the people they surround themselves with. While some individuals are content with simply having bodies around, Sigmas recognize that the quality of their social circle directly impacts their own growth. They don't just want people who fill the space, they want people who will push them to evolve, inspire them to improve, and challenge them to reach new heights. Psychologically, this is rooted in the law of attraction. We are influenced by the people we spend the most time with. Sigmas understand this on a deep level. They know that growth and success are often shaped by the energy and mindset of those around them. As a result, they are intentional about who they allow into their lives. They seek out individuals who have a growth mindset, who strive for excellence, and who are constantly working on their personal and professional development. If you stay stagnant, complain about your circumstances, or show no desire to better yourself, Sigmas will notice. And it's not that they are judgmental or callous. It's just that they refuse to waste time where there is no potential for growth. Time is one of the most valuable commodities, and Sigmas recognize that associating with individuals who aren't interested in leveling up is counterproductive to their own journey. Studies in social psychology suggest that our social circles significantly influence our behaviors, values, and even our success. People who surround themselves with growth-oriented individuals are more likely to embrace change and self-improvement. Sigmas understand this intuitively. They know that to keep climbing, they need to be around people who challenge them and bring something to the table. This doesn't mean Sigmas only seek out perfection or look down on others. Instead, it's about mutual respect for personal development. A Sigma will support someone who is striving for improvement, even if they're at the beginning stages of their journey. However, if someone continually refuses to evolve, is trapped in negative patterns, or simply lacks the desire to grow, Sigmas will naturally distance themselves. They know that surrounding themselves with stagnation won't lead to their own progress. Ultimately, a Sigma values time and energy spent on relationships that encourage personal growth. For them, growth isn't just an option, it's a lifestyle. And if you can't match that energy, they'll move, knowing that their journey doesn't stop for anyone who isn't evolving with them. Reason 6. They're on a solo mission. Sigmas are not your average men. They don't just float through life, reacting to every whim or seeking external validation. Instead, they go through periods of intense self-reflection and transformation. These phases are not about seeking attention or external approval. They are about internal growth. During these times, a Sigma retreats. It's not because he's angry or upset, far from it. He's simply building, plotting, and upgrading himself. Think of it as a personal metamorphosis, much like a caterpillar retreating into its cocoon. A Sigma enters a phase of deep introspection, cutting off distractions to focus on what truly matters. This is when he hones his skills, refines his values, and aligns his life with his higher purpose. Psychologically speaking, this is a crucial part of self-actualization. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization represents the highest level of personal development. It's the process of becoming the best version of oneself, and it often requires periods of solitude and focus. During this time, Sigmas prioritize their goals and their well-being above all else. Distractions, whether from people or external expectations, are simply unwelcome. Women who are familiar with Sigmas understand that this retreat is not personal. It's part of the Sigma's growth process. They may not always explain their need for space, but it's understood that they must retreat in order to come back stronger, more focused, and more self-assured. The key takeaway? A Sigma's silence during these phases doesn't reflect dissatisfaction with others. It's a reflection of his commitment to continuous self-improvement, and when he re-emerges, he's an even more powerful, intriguing presence than before. What you can learn from this: if a Sigma male cuts you off, don't chase, don't beg for explanations. Instead, ask yourself, did I respect their space? Was I bringing value or draining energy? Was I trying to control them? Did I remain loyal? Self-reflection is the key. A Sigma male doesn't owe anyone an explanation. They don't burn bridges with fire, they burn them with silence. And once they've left, there's rarely a way back. But here's the thing. If you do get cut off, use it as an opportunity to grow, level up, become the kind of person Sigmas respect: strong, independent, and self-sufficient. Sigmas, if you resonate with this, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join this community of high-value individuals dedicated to self-mastery and impactful living. Having said this, welcome Sigmas. You've heard the saying, watch out for the quiet ones. Well, in our case, it's not just a warning, it's a truth. The ones who remain calm and collected often see right through the loudest lies, and that's exactly why they make some people uneasy in a world that glorifies the bold and the brash. Sigma males stand apart as the silent powerhouses walking their own path. Detached from the crowd, they aren't after titles. They don't seek followers, and they definitely don't crave validation. Sigmas exist in a space so magnetic and self-assured that it tends to unsettle those with darker intentions. But why? Studies show that people who think independently and reject conformity are more likely to become targets of manipulators. Why? Because nothing shakes evil more than someone who can't be controlled. Now, imagine this. You're just doing your thing, thriving in your bubble of self-sufficiency. When you notice something odd, the manipulators, the deceivers, the ones who thrive on chaos, they've suddenly taken an interest in you. Why? Because your Sigma energy is like kryptonite to their games, and trust me, they don't play by the rules. Get ready, because this isn't your typical story of jealousy and petty jabs. We're diving into the twisted playbook of manipulation where the moves are calculated. The pettiness is often laughable, and the battle of being a Sigma male is as much about staying true to yourself as it is about navigating a world of hidden agendas. This is where the blessing of being a Sigma meets the battlefield of real. Let's jump in. Number 1, they try to control you. Evil people thrive on control. They manipulate, deceive, and pressure others into submission. But a Sigma male, you are immune to their tactics because you operate independent, free from external influence. This makes you a threat to their agenda. Psychologically, manipulators rely on covert control strategies, like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and emotional blackmail. Guilt-tripping plays on a person, making them feel selfish for asserting boundaries. Gaslighting distorts reality, making the victim question their own judgment. These tactics work on those who seek approval, but not on a Sigma. Because you refuse to conform, manipulators grow frustrated. They escalate their games, trying harder to provoke a reaction, but your unshakable nature denies them the emotional fuel they crave. This is known as gray rocking, a technique where maintaining emotional neutrality causes manipulators to lose interest. The more you resist, the more desperate they become, but ultimately they fail, because control only works on those who allow it. And a Sigma male, you bow to no one. Number 2, they spread lies about you. Sigmas, your quiet nature, isn't just a trait, it's a mystery. And mystery unsettles people. Most individuals rely on social validation, oversharing to fit in, or constantly seeking reassurance. But you move in silence, revealing only what you choose. This lack of information creates a vacuum, and human psychology tells us that when people don't have answers, they invent them. This is known as the ambiguity effect when faced with the unknown. People default to assumptions rather than admitting they don't understand. Your silence makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes people uncomfortable. They can't read you. So instead, they project their own fears, biases, and insecurities onto you. You may be labeled as arrogant, cold, or even untrustworthy, not because of your actions, but because your existence challenges their need for clarity. They'd rather create a false narrative than accept that you operate on a different frequency. But here's the paradox. The more they talk, the more powerful your presence becomes. Their curiosity keeps you in their minds, and their rumors only add to your mystique. A Sigma doesn't waste time explaining himself. He lets results speak louder than speculation. Number 3, they play the victim. When people realize they can't control or outmaneuver you, their last resort is often manipulation. They twist the narrative, making themselves the victim and you the villain. This tactic, called projection, lets them avoid accountability by blaming you instead of admitting their flaws. This is common in workplaces, social circles, and relationships. When someone feels threatened by a Sigma's independence and they may try to turn others against them. This is social gaslighting, where reality is distorted to make the Sigma appear as the aggressor, aiming to isolate and weaken them. What sets Sigmas apart is their emotional control. Instead of reacting, they stay calm, knowing the truth will eventually come to light. Behavioral psychology shows that false narratives crumble under scrutiny. Lies need constant maintenance, but the truth stands strong. So when they try to paint you as the villain, don't get caught up in their drama. Stay composed. Let their contradictions expose them and keep moving forward. The best response to manipulation isn't anger, it's unwavering self-assurance. Number 4. They compete with you even when you're not competing. A Sigma doesn't seek competition because his confidence comes from within. He's indifferent to external validation and social games. However, insecure people often try to one-up him, whether at work, in social settings, or even in minor interactions. These individuals, driven by social comparison theory, measure their worth by comparing themselves to others. Insecure people feel threatened by the Sigma's calm confidence because he doesn't seek attention or engage in rivalries. This non-reaction frustrates them. They expect a battle of egos. But the Sigma doesn't play. As a result, they boast, exaggerate, and try to overshadow him. Ironically, the more they try, the more they reveal their insecurity. A Sigma's quiet dominance isn't about proving superiority. It's rooted in self-assurance. While others waste energy competing, he remains focused on his own path. This is why he always wins without even trying. Number 5. They undermine your success. Jealousy is one of the strongest and most revealing human emotions. It arises when people feel threatened by someone else's success, especially when that success highlights their own shortcoming. Instead of offering support or admiration, they attempt to downplay your achievements with dismissive comments like, "He just got lucky," or "It's not that impressive." Psychologically, this is known as cognitive dissonance when people experience discomfort because reality contradicts their beliefs. Seeing you excel forces them to confront their own lack of progress, and instead of improving themselves, they choose the easier path, discrediting you. This is why highly successful individuals often face the most resistance, not because they've done something wrong, but because their presence exposes others' insecurities. But here's the truth. Their jealousy has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. The moment you stop seeking external validation, their words lose power. Stay focused. Stay consistent and let your results speak for themselves. In the end, success is the best response because while they're busy talking, you're busy winning. Number 6, they provoke you. Some people thrive on conflict, seeking it out as a way to feel validated or exert control. But a Sigma male is different. He doesn't engage in pointless drama or get caught up in petty arguments. He understands that conflict often arises from a place of insecurity or manipulation, and he knows that reacting is exactly what the other person wants. This is where emotional intelligence comes into play. A Sigma understands that emotional reactions often serve as distractions from more important matters. Instead of getting swept up in the chaos, he remains calm, composed, and unresponsive to the provocation. Studies in self-regulation suggest that those who don't react impulsively to external pressures are seen as more emotionally mature and in control. When someone tries to push a Sigma's buttons, he simply refuses to play their game. Rather than getting defensive or retaliating, he might remain silent, redirect the conversation, or disengage entirely. This creates an air of mystery and dominance. The other person, frustrated by their inability to get a reaction, is left in a state of confusion, and in that silence, the Sigma has already won. It's a subtle but powerful way of taking control without ever raising a finger. Number 7, they imitate you. There's a fascinating psychological phenomenon at play when it comes to the Sigma male. Many of the people who outwardly criticize you, who despise your independence, your nonconformity, and your self-sufficiency, are actually drawn to it. Deep down, they admire what they pretend to hate. This is rooted in cognitive dissonance, a psychological theory that explains how people experience discomfort when their actions contradict their beliefs. They may despise your ability to live on your own terms, but they envy the freedom it represents. They wish they could be as confident, as self-reliant, and as indifferent to societal approval as you are. In fact, studies in social psychology show that people often mimic the behaviors and traits of those they secretly admire but feel insecure about. This explains why, despite their outward hostility, these same people may start to adopt aspects of your style, your mindset, or even your approach to life. They want the confidence you exude, but are too afraid to embrace it themselves. So while they criticize from a distance, they're subconsciously trying to embody what you represent. It's the ultimate form of flattery, hidden behind a veil of resentment. And you continue to walk your own path, unaffected by the noise. Number 8, they try to isolate you. A Sigma doesn't need a crowd to feel validated. Unlike others who thrive on social approval or the attention of a group, you draw your strength from within. Sigmas operate on their own terms, valuing independence and self-sufficiency over popularity. This isn't arrogance. It's a deep understanding of your own worth, unshaken by external opinions. However, not everyone appreciates this. Evil people, those driven by insecurity or envy, will often try to turn others against you. They may label you an outsider, hoping to isolate you or undermine your influence. This tactic is rooted in a psychological concept known as social exclusion, where individuals attempt to diminish the impact of someone they perceive as a threat. They believe that if they can alienate you from the group, your power will diminish. But for a Sigma, this attempt at manipulation is futile. You don't need validation from the masses. Your worth doesn't depend on their approval. The more they try to isolate you, the more you remain unaffected, solid in your sense of self. In the end, it's your inner strength and authenticity that makes you untouchable. Whether in a crowd or alone, a Sigma's influence cannot be diminished by the opinions of others. Number 9, they test your boundaries. A Sigma male is unwavering when it comes to his boundaries. While many men are swayed by external pressures, the Sigma knows exactly where he stands and refuses to compromise on his values or personal space. This makes him a challenge for manipulative individuals who often attempt to push, prod, and test his limits, trying to find a way to break him down. Psychologically, this aligns with assertiveness training, which shows that individuals who are firm with their boundaries are less likely to be taken advantage of or manipulated. It signals to others that you value yourself and your time, demanding respect. When you stay grounded in your boundaries, you project confidence and self-respect. This frustrates those who are used to bending others to their will, but it also earns the respect of those who understand the importance of integrity. Your boundaries aren't up for negotiation, and that's what makes you powerful. Number 10, they try to ruin your reputation. Character assassination is a tactic used by people who seek to undermine you by exaggerating flaws, spreading rumors, and fabricating stories. This form of manipulation is rooted in social influence, specifically trying to sway public opinion by distorting facts. People who resort to this tactic aim to tarnish your reputation, often because they feel threatened by your strength, success, or independence. However, research in reputation management shows that lies and false narratives rarely stand the test of time. The truth, however, has a way of emerging. Over time, people begin to see through the distortion and recognize the integrity of those being attacked. While character assassination can be damaging in the short term, the impact of truth is far more enduring. People who focus on authenticity and integrity often find that, despite the attempts to bring them down, their reputation not only survives but grows stronger. Number 11, they gossip about you. Small minds tend to focus on others, often discussing them to fill the void of their own lives. When you're on the receiving end of this, it's important to recognize it as a compliment. It means you're occupying a space in their minds that they can't get rid of. Psychological research supports the idea that people who are constantly discussed or thought about are often seen as high status, influential, or intriguing. So while they're busy thinking about you, you're actually living rent-free in their heads, showing just how much your presence matters. Let them talk. It only proves your impact. Number 12, they exaggerate your flaws. Nobody is perfect, but some people, particularly those with negative intentions, will try to make you believe your imperfections define who. They magnify your mistakes while conveniently ignoring their own flaws. This is a classic tactic of projection, where an individual attributes their shortcomings onto others to deflect attention from their own issues. Psychologically, this can be an attempt to gain power or control by making you feel inferior. The goal is to shift focus away from their own flaws and onto yours, ultimately minimizing your strength. Recognizing this behavior helps you maintain your confidence and focus on your growth. Number 13. They sabotage your efforts. Whether in work, relationships, or personal growth, obstacles will always arise, often from those who feel threatened by your potential. But for Sigmas, resilience is your greatest weapon. Unlike others who become discouraged or falter under pressure, you view setbacks as opportunities for growth. This mindset is grounded in grit, a psychological concept that refers to perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Studies show that individuals with high levels of grit are more likely to succeed because they don't give up easily. Sigmas thrive through challenges, using adversity as fuel to push themselves further, stronger, and wiser. Number 14. They try to make you doubt yourself. A Sigma is inherently self-assured, but they understand the power of planting seeds of doubt, not to manipulate, but to challenge and provoke growth. When they say, "Are you sure about that?" or "I don't think you can pull that off," it's not about tearing you down. It's about testing your confidence and resilience. This can be uncomfortable, but it's a valuable lesson in self-trust. Psychological studies show that doubt can trigger motivation and self-reflection, leading to stronger outcomes. A Sigma knows that true growth comes from pushing boundaries. So, when faced with doubt, ignore the noise and trust in your abilities. Number 15. They fear your influence. At the core, what others fear most is the power of your presence, your ability to stand alone, lead without needing validation, and move with quiet confidence challenges everything they know. People are often uncomfortable with those who refuse to conform to societal expectations, especially when that person operates with unwavering self-assurance. Your independence threatens their worldview, making them question their own choices and beliefs. This fear can lead to attempts to bring you down, as their discomfort with your strength pushes them to undermine you. But remember, this reaction is a sign of your influence, not a weakness. Sigmas, now that you know their tactics, you hold the power. The more you rise, the more they will resist, but that's proof you're doing something right. Don't let the insecurities of others shake your foundation. Stay firm, stay focused, and most importantly, stay Sigma. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and join this community of high-value individuals. Together, we embrace the Sigma mindset and live with purpose. Having said this, Sigmas, have you ever looked around and realized you're alone? Not lonely, but alone. And the craziest part? You don't mind one bit. Why do Sigma males have zero friends? Is it a curse or a choice? Imagine this: a group of guys at a party, laughing, drinking, sharing pointless stories. One of them looks at his phone. It's you, the Sigma, ignoring their invite. Instead, you're on your own, working on a project, reading a book, or just enjoying the silence. You don't crave their energy. In fact, their presence drains you. Sound familiar? This isn't about being socially awkward. It's not about being an outcast. It's about being free. Because for Sigmas, friendships often feel like chains. As Nietzsche once said, it is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Maybe, just maybe, Sigmas are onto something deeper, something society refuses to understand. So why do Sigma males have zero? The real reason will shock you. Let's break it down. Number 1. Sigma males don't chase social validation. Most people maintain friendships as a form of social currency. They seek validation, reassurance, and a sense of belonging. Their self-worth is often tied to how many friends they have, how often they're invited out, or how much attention they receive. But Sigmas operate differently. They don't need a crowd to feel valued because their confidence comes from within, not external approval. This is why they don't waste time chasing friendships built on convenience. Ever noticed how some people vanish the moment you stop reaching out first? That's because many so-called friendships aren't based on genuine connection, but rather on what they can gain: entertainment, emotional support, or even social status. Psychologists call this reciprocity bias, the idea that people maintain relationships as long as there's a perceived benefit. But a Sigma male doesn't play by these rules. He values authenticity over obligation. If a friendship isn't built on mutual respect and understanding, he has no problem walking away. While others spend time proving their worth to their social circle, sigmas focus on building themselves mentally, physically, and financially. And ironically, that's what makes them even more magnetic. When you don't seek validation, people crave your presence even more. Number 2, small talk feels like torture. Sigmas aren't interested in small talk because their minds operate on a different frequency. They crave depth, meaning, and intellectual stimulation. While most people are content discussing the latest celebrity scandal or the weather, a Sigma finds these conversations empty and exhausting. It's not that they're antisocial. They just refuse to waste energy on surface-level interactions that don't contribute to their growth or understanding of the world. Psychologists have observed that deep thinkers like introverts and highly intelligent individuals prefer meaningful conversations because they engage the brain's reward system. Studies show that intellectual discussions release dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure and motivation. For Sigmas, a late-night philosophical debate or a conversation about life's mysteries is far more fulfilling than idle chatter at a party. This is why social gatherings often feel pointless to them. They'd rather take a quiet walk under the stars, reflecting on the universe, than sit in a crowded room discussing trivial matters. Their time and energy are valuable, and they invest them wisely. When a Sigma speaks, it's because they have something worth saying, not because they feel the need to fill the silence. Number 3, Sigmas are extremely selective. To a Sigma, friendship isn't about convenience, it's about alignment. Most people form friendships based on proximity, routine, or fleeting interests. They bond over workplace gossip, weekend plans, or shared hobbies, even if the connection lacks depth. But a Sigma male, he operates differently. Psychologists call this selective socialization, where individuals intentionally curate their inner circle based on value and depth rather than availability. A Sigma isn't antisocial, he's simply precise. He understands that time and energy are his most valuable assets, and he won't waste them on surface-level relationships. Every friendship must have meaning, whether it's intellectual stimulation, personal growth, or mutual support. This isn't selfish, it's strategic. A Sigma seeks quality over quantity, surrounding himself only with those who challenge, inspire, or elevate him. And because his standards are high, few make the cut. This is why Sigmas are often seen as lone wolves, not because they can't make friends, but because they refuse to settle for anything less than real purpose-driven connections. Number 4, they refuse to fake it. How many times have you seen people laugh at a joke that wasn't funny just to blend in, or nod in agreement with something they don't believe simply to avoid conflict? Society thrives on unspoken rules of conformity, where fitting in often matters more than being real. But Sigmas, they don't play that game. A Sigma male values authenticity above social approval. If he doesn't find something amusing, he won't fake a laugh. If he disagrees, he'll say it outright. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about refusing to compromise personal truth for shallow acceptance. Psychologists call this the ass conformity experiment effect, where people alter their opinions to match the group even when they know it's wrong. Sigmas, however, reject this instinct. They prioritize independent thinking over blind agreement. And guess what? That level of raw honesty makes people uncomfortable. Most friendships and social interactions are built on mutual illusions, on saying what others want to hear rather than what's real. Sigmas prefer the brutal truth over comforting lies. This often isolates them, but it also earns them deep respect. Because while others lose themselves trying to fit in, a Sigma never abandons who he truly is. Number 5, Sigmas are lone wolves by nature. The lone wolf mentality isn't just a myth. It's a deliberate choice rooted in psychology and personal growth. Unlike the alpha, who thrives in leadership roles, or the beta, who seeks social validation, the Sigma male finds his power in solitude. This isn't because he dislikes people. Rather, he understands the value of self-sufficiency. Psychological research highlights that solitude enhances creativity, critical thinking, and self-awareness. Great minds throughout history, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, and Isaac Newton spent extended periods alone refining their ideas and shaping the world. Sigmas follow a similar path, using solitude as a tool for self-improvement. Being alone isn't a sign of loneliness. It's an opportunity for mastery. While others seek constant social interaction for validation, Sigmas use their alone time to develop skills, strategize their next move, and cultivate mental resilience. They are comfortable in their own company, making them less dependent on external approval. This independence makes Sigmas incredibly attractive and intimidating. Their quiet confidence speaks volumes, and their ability to stand apart in a world that craves connection makes them even more intriguing. They don't isolate themselves out of necessity, but by design, because solitude isn't just peaceful, it's where they truly thrive. Number 6. They outgrow people fast. Here's the harsh truth. Most friendships are built on familiarity, routine, and even mutual struggle. People bond over shared frustrations, past experiences, and common obstacles. But when one person starts evolving, growing beyond limitations, the balance of that relationship shifts. Psychologists call this the social homeostasis effect. Friendships often function like a stable system. When one person changes significantly, the dynamic is disrupted. Most people prefer things to stay predictable, and when a Sigma male begins leveling up, learning, growing, and pushing forward, it creates discomfort. Friends who once felt equal may start feeling left behind. Sigmas are wired for growth. They read, they adapt, they refine their skills and mindset. And as they evolve, they naturally outgrow people who prefer comfort over progress. It's not about arrogance or superiority, it's about alignment. A Sigma can't stay stuck in conversations that lead nowhere, habits that hinder success, or relationships that discourage self-improvement. That's why true Sigma males often find themselves walking alone. They refuse to shrink to fit a mold that no longer serves them. Instead, they embrace solitude, knowing that real connections are built on mutual growth, not stagnation. And while others fear change, Sigmas thrive in it, because evolution isn't a choice, it's their nature. Number 7. They value peace over popularity. Drama, gossip, pretty conflicts. That's a hard no for a Sigma. Unlike most people who thrive on social validation and group approval, Sigmas value their peace above all else. They have no interest in pointless arguments, social climbing, or shallow friendships built on convenience. Psychologists suggest that those who avoid drama often exhibit higher emotional intelligence. They recognize the energy drain that negativity brings and prefer to invest their time in personal growth, meaningful relationships, and productive pursuits. This mindset is what sets Sigmas apart. In a world obsessed with being liked, Sigmas choose to be respected. Popularity is fleeting, but respect lasts. While many seek constant social reinforcement, Sigmas understand that true strength comes from independence. They are comfortable in solitude because they don't need a crowd to validate their worth. History proves that some of the most influential figures, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, and even Albert Einstein, were lone wolves who chose purpose over popularity. Of course, this path isn't always easy. Walking away from the crowd often means standing alone. But Sigmas don't fear solitude. They embrace it. They know that peace is far more valuable than fleeting attention. And in the end, while others exhaust themselves trying to fit in, the Sigma thrives in his quiet, unshakable confidence. Number 8. Most people can't handle their depth. Sigmas aren't just independent thinkers. They are intellectual outliers. While most people accept societal norms at face value, Sigmas instinctively question everything. They analyze, deeply challenge mainstream beliefs, and deconstruct the narratives that others blindly follow. This ability to see through illusions and think critically often sets them apart, and not always in a way that makes others comfortable. Psychologically, humans are wired for cognitive ease. Most prefer familiar ideas because they feel safe. This is why groupthink dominates workplaces, social circles, and even personal relationships. When a Sigma presents an alternative perspective, one that contradicts the status quo, it disrupts this mental comfort. The result? Confusion, resistance, or even hostility from those who feel their worldviews being threatened. Ever shared an insightful thought only to be met with blank stares? That's the Sigma experience. It's not that they can't connect with others, but true intellectual engagement requires depth. and most people simply aren't willing or able to go that. This is why Sigmas often find solace in solitude. They would rather be alone with their thoughts than engage in shallow conversations that lack substance. Yet this isolation is also their strength. Some of history's greatest minds, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, and Friedrich Nietzsche, were Sigma-like figures who operated outside societal expectations. They weren't misunderstood because they lacked communication skills. They were misunderstood because they were ahead of their time. So if you ever feel like no one truly gets you, remember, it's not a flaw. It's a sign that your mind is wired differently. While the world seeks comfort, you seek truth, and that's what sets you apart. Number 9, they don't fear being alone. Most people stay in friendships, even toxic ones, because they fear being alone. Society has conditioned us to believe that solitude is something to be avoided, a sign of loneliness or social failure. But Sigmas, they know better. They understand that solitude isn't an emptiness to be filled. It's a space for growth, self-discovery, and mastery. Psychological research supports this. Studies show that people who embrace solitude develop stronger emotional resilience, higher creativity, and greater self-awareness. Unlike extroverts who recharge through social interaction, Sigmas gain energy from within. They use their alone time to sharpen their skills, reflect on their goals, and build an unshakable. This doesn't mean they dislike people. In fact, they can be incredibly charismatic when they choose to engage, but they are selective with their time and company. Instead of clinging to friendships out of fear, they form connections based on mutual value, respect, and depth. Being self-sufficient doesn't make them cold. It makes them powerful. While others depend on constant validation from their peer, Sigmas remain unfazed, moving through life with purpose and independence. Their solitude is not loneliness. It's an intentional choice to live life on their own terms. Number 10. The rare few who do get close are like family. Just because Sigmas don't surround themselves with a crowd doesn't mean they're isolated. In fact, they have some of the deepest, most meaningful connections you'll ever find. While many people collect acquaintances for status or validation, Sigmas operate on a different level. They value authenticity, loyalty, and depth in their relationships. Psychologists have long studied the difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is the emotional distress of lacking connection, while solitude is the conscious choice to enjoy one's own company. Sigmas master solitude. They're selective about the company they keep, not because they dislike people, but because they understand that true connection is rare. Research shows that having a few strong, reliable relationships is far more beneficial for mental and emotional health than having a large but shallow social circle. A Sigma's inner circle is small but unbreakable. The few people they let in aren't just friends, they're family. And because of this, Sigmas are fiercely loyal. If you earn a Sigma's trust, you have an ally for life. They won't waste energy on meaningless interactions, but when they do invest in a relationship, they give it their. This is why Sigmas are never truly lonely. While others chase social validation, they cultivate bonds that stand the test of time. They don't need constant attention or external approval to feel secure. Their confidence comes from within, and their relationships are built on mutual respect, not convenience. In a world obsessed with networking and social clues, Sigmas prove that fewer, stronger connections will always outshine superficial popularity. And that's the difference between being alone and being lonely. So Sigmas, the next time someone asks why you have 0 friends, just smile. Because the truth is, you don't need a crowd to feel complete. Drop a comment if this video resonated with you. And if you're new here, join the Sigma Brotherhood by subscribing and hitting that like button. Let's build a community of strong, independent minds. Having said this, 5 things Sigma males have 0 tolerance for. We all have our breaking points, those unspoken limits that can alter our relationships and the world when they are crossed. Depending on the situation and the people involved, we may overlook a mistake for family, compromise for friends, or adjust our limits for business. However, men from Sigma, they operate on a separate plane entirely. The autonomous mavericks who forge their own path, known as Sigma males, appear to be effortlessly laid back. unruffled by the typical social games and unimportant drama. Behind that serene surface, however, are unassailable and unmistakable barriers. They draw clear boundaries about what they will and won't accept, rather than skirting disputes or avoiding difficult talks. And once those boundaries are crossed, there is no more discussion or opportunity for a second chance, only a swift and final departure. In today's video, we're unveiling the 5 key deal breakers that even the most laid-back Sigma male won't put up with. Ready to discover what truly defines a Sigma's code of conduct? Let's dive right in. Number 1. Mind games and manipulation. Sigmas possess an uncanny ability to see through deception, much like an eagle spotting prey from miles away. Their highly developed intuition, combined with sharp observational skills, makes it nearly impossible to manipulate them. Whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive-aggressive tactics, a Sigma will recognize the game before it even begins. They don't just sense deception, they dismantle it. This ability is rooted in a strong understanding of human nature. Studies in behavioral psychology suggest that highly independent individuals develop keen pattern recognition, allowing them to detect inconsistencies in speech, tone, and body language. While most people take words at face value, Sigmas analyze intent. They notice micro-expressions, shifts in demeanor, and contradictions in what people say versus what they do. Women who try to test them, bosses who push their limits, or so-called friends with hidden agendas all meet the same fate: exposure or exile. Sigmas don't waste time engaging in mental gymnastics or unnecessary drama. Their emotional intelligence enables them to navigate complex social situations without being pulled into manipulation tactics. Unlike others who might react emotionally, a Sigma simply observes, understands, and acts accordingly, whether that means calling someone out or silently walking away. Take reverse psychology, for example. Most people respond predictably when faced with an attempt to control their behavior. But a Sigma? They recognize the setup instantly. Telling them they do something doesn't bait them into proving otherwise. It just confirms that someone is trying to manipulate them. And manipulation, in any form, is a sign of weakness in their eyes. This ability to see through deception isn't just about intelligence, it's about self-mastery. Sigmas have spent years refining their independence and emotional resilience. They don't seek approval, nor do they need external validation. This makes them immune to the tactics that work on ordinary people, such as guilt, flattery, or social pressure. If a Sigma feels someone is trying to control or deceive them, they disengage without hesitation. This is what makes them such a challenge in relationships, workplaces, and social circles. They cannot be guilted into compliance, tricked into overextending themselves, or emotionally manipulated into submission. And for those who rely on such tactics, this is deeply frustrating. But this isn't to say Sigmas are cold or unemotional. Quite the opposite. They feel deeply but refuse to be controlled by emotions. They value authenticity, honesty, and directness. They respect those who are genuine and have no patience for those who play games. At the end of the day, a Sigma's mindset is simple. If you're real, they'll respect you. If you're manipulative, they'll see right through you. And if you try to test them, well, they've already passed while you were still figuring out the rules. Number 2. Disrespect. Respect is the foundation of how Sigma males operate. They don't just give it, they demand it. Unlike others who tolerate disrespect for the sake of social harmony or approval, Sigmas have a different approach, one rooted in self-worth and unwavering boundaries. Psychologically, This is known as people subconsciously treat us based on the standards we set for ourselves. A Sigma male sets those standards high. Whether dealing with a stranger, a coworker, or a romantic partner, he refuses to engage with anyone who belittles, insults, or dismisses him. This isn't arrogance, it's self-preservation. Allowing disrespect sends a signal that mistreatment is acceptable, and Sigmas simply won't allow that in their world. One of the most powerful traits of a Sigma is his ability to command respect without demanding it. He doesn't seek validation or attempt to prove his worth. Instead, he carries himself with an energy that naturally earns recognition. Studies show that those who exhibit quiet confidence and firm boundaries are perceived as stronger leaders than those who are loud and confrontational. A Sigma doesn't need to be the most vocal person in the room. His presence alone speaks volumes. But what happens when someone crosses the line? Unlike alphas, who might engage in power struggles, or betas, who might tolerate mistreatment, a Sigma does neither. He won't waste time arguing or justifying his worth. Instead, he'll do something far more powerful. He'll walk away. This is where comes into play. When something is readily available, it's taken for granted. But when it's removed, its value skyrockets. A Sigma knows that his presence is a privilege, not a right. Those who fail to respect him will lose access to him. Simple as that. This is why people are drawn to Sigmas. They stand firm in their standards, unshaken by external opinions. Women find this particularly attractive because it signals strength, self-sufficiency, and emotional stability. People respect what they can't control, and a Sigma is the embodiment of that principle. So stand firm in your standards, Sigmas. The world may not always understand you, but those who truly respect you will never question your worth. And those who don't, they were never meant to be in your world anyway. Number 3. Fake friendships and surface-level connections. Sigmas don't waste time on shallow interactions or meaningless social obligations. They have an innate ability to detect insincerity, whether it's in a forced smile, empty compliment, or fake friendship. While many people engage in small talk to fill the silence, a Sigma sees no point in words that hold no depth. They crave meaningful connections, conversations that challenge their minds, relationships that bring value, and friendships built on mutual respect. This mindset is rooted in a psychological trait where individuals prioritize quality over quantity in their relationships. Studies show that people who focus on fewer, deeper friendships experience higher levels of emotional well-being and personal fulfillment. Sigmas understand this instinctively. They aren't interested in collecting acquaintances for the sake of appearances. They seek authenticity above all else. Unlike many who fear loneliness and surround themselves with superficial connections, Sigmas embrace solitude. They recognize that being alone is far better than being in the company of people who drain their energy. This ability to be completely comfortable in their own space is what makes them so independent and self-sufficient. It also means that when they form connections, those relationships are genuine, meaningful, and built to last. Fake friends are like weak Wi-Fi signals in a crowded cafe, unreliable, draining, and ultimately frustrating. A Sigma would rather have a single strong, secure connection than 100 that constantly drop when they're needed most. They have no tolerance for drama, manipulation, or superficiality. If a relationship doesn't add real value, they simply won't invest in it. This approach makes Sigmas both highly respected and somewhat intimidating. Others can't figure out why they don't seek approval, why they aren't desperate for validation, or why they're so selective about their inner circle. But the truth is simple. Sigmas know their worth. They understand that time and energy are precious resources, and they refuse to waste them on people who don't genuinely care. At the end of the day, being a Sigma means knowing that solitude is not a curse. It's a choice. And when real connections do come along, they are built on something far stronger than convenience or social expectation. They are built on authenticity, mutual respect, and unwavering loyalty. Number 4. Wasted time and meaningless distractions. Sigmas don't just manage their time, they it. While most people get caught up in trivial conversations, unnecessary meetings, and endless social obligations, a Sigma male moves differently. He understands that time is the one resource he can never get back, so he refuses to waste it. This mindset aligns with, which states that tasks expand to fill the time allotted for them. Sigmas instinctively resist this inefficiency. They operate with precision, cutting out distractions and staying laser-focused on what truly matters. That's why they seem distant or elusive. It's not that they dislike people. It's that they refuse to engage in anything that doesn't serve a real purpose. This also ties into the Pareto principle, which suggests that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. Sigmas prioritize the 20% that yields the most value, whether in work, relationships, or personal growth. They don't engage in conversations just to fill silence. They don't entertain drama for the sake of socializing. If something doesn't align with their goals, they simply... So if a Sigma male ghosts a conversation, it's rarely personal. It's strategic. He isn't rude. He's efficient. Small talk, gossip, and meaningless debates hold no value for him. He seeks depth, purpose, and intellectual stimulation. If a conversation lacks these elements, he'll quietly step away, investing his energy elsewhere. This makes Sigmas highly respected, but also somewhat enigmatic. People may not always understand them, but they them. And that's the power of a man who treats his time like gold. Number 5. Forced conformity. Perhaps the biggest thing a Sigma male refuses to tolerate is being told who to be. Society thrives on labels, expectations, and predefined roles. From childhood, most men are conditioned to follow a set path, get a certain job, behave a certain way, and measure success by external validation. But a Sigma, he sees through the illusion. He understands that true fulfillment doesn't come from fitting in, but from standing apart. Trying to make a Sigma conform is like trying to tame a wild wolf. It's a futile effort. Unlike the Alpha, who thrives on leadership and dominance, or the Beta, who seeks security within a group, the Sigma walks alone. He doesn't rebel for the sake of rebellion. He simply refuses to accept a life dictated by others. His independence isn't just a preference, it's his very nature. Psychologically, this aligns with the E, which suggests that people who live autonomously and make decisions based on internal motivation experience greater satisfaction and success. Sigmas embody this principle. They don't chase status symbols, social approval, or fleeting trends. To them, success is measured by personal fulfillment, not external applause. Because of this, they are often misunderstood. Society struggles to categorize a man who neither seeks validation nor follows the crowd. But to a Sigma, that misunderstanding is a badge of honor. The less the world understands him, the more he knows he's on the right path. Sigmas don't just reject expectations, they them. So, Sigmas, if you resonated with these, you already know. Your standards are your power. Never lower them. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to walk away from one of these 5 things. And don't forget, like this video, hit subscribe, and join this community of elite minds. Having said this,